All right, everyone, welcome to another episode of Grassroots Resistance Collective.
You're watching Grassroots Resistance Collective. Texas grown, people powered, and unapologetically bold. We expose corruption, amplify real candidates, and give voters the truth the system tries to bury. No spin, no sellouts, just resistance. Let's get to work.
All right, everybody, thank you for joining us. We are Grassroots Resistance Collective. Here we are here to uplift candidates who prioritize people over profit, transparency over talking points, and equity over extremism. And I am here with my co-host Chastity and Jen. We're also here tonight with our special guest. He is Marine Corps veteran Kevin Burge. He's going to be running for. He's going to be running to represent Texas's 24th congressional district, and he's here to talk to us about how we can rebuild America's democracy, starting from the people up. First of all, welcome, Kevin. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
So real quick, can you just give us like a real brief description or real brief few details on what got you here?
Sure. So yeah, like you said, I'm a Marine Corps veteran, and really a servant of the American people for the past 20 years of my life. I enlisted in the Marine Corps when I was 17 years old. My mom had to co-sign on my enlistment papers. So from there, I ended up doing 2 tours in Iraq. And after my 8 years in the Marine Corps, I joined the Defense Intelligence Agency, where I kind of went back and forth between, government civilians, some contract work, in general, working for nearly every 4 or with every 3-letter intelligence agency in our great nation. So I also did a tour in Afghanistan with the Defense Intelligence Agency. So it's really all I know is serving the people, serving the country. And I recently have left my government work. And, I decided I wanted to kind of be like, the Roman soldiers after a lifelong service to their country, and they get to garden and farm and like raise their family. And so I'm here in Texas. I'm trying to relax, and all of a sudden, President Trump gets elected, right? And next thing you know, you're seeing Nazi salutes behind the presidential seal. You're seeing, just some crazy stuff, damage to the government, damage to the people. And I was like, well, it looks like my service is not over yet. So here I am, back looking at the federal level, which is what I'm most comfortable with, what I know the best. And now I'm talking to you fine folks.
How long ago did you work on the Fed level, and how long were you on the Fed level?
So, the military's federal, Defense Intelligence Agency's federal. So I was since 2003 when I enlisted, and then I left the government. Two years ago now. So it hasn't been long. Yeah. Yep.
So you're in your late 30s, something like that?
Yeah, I'm 40 years old. Okay. Yep.
Cool. So
Tovar,
that you caught, yes.
She's saying that your mic is going out again. Sorry. Okay. There you go.
Here we go. Here we go.
You're fine.
All right. So I have here that you call yourself a student of liberal democracy rooted in Enlightenment philosophy. What does that look like to you here in Texas?
So yeah, that's a good one. It's on my website as well, but the background of it is, I was at my dad's house, and President candidate Trump was shot at, and next thing you know, my dad is spouting off a whole bunch of like Newsmax, like the country is going to become like Haiti, and he had a flag out in front of his house. He lives in New Mexico. He said that he had lowered his flag during President Biden's term. And, the only person who could save this country and he would ever raise the flag for again was Trump. And like, it boiled my blood, like I served overseas for that flag. I put myself in danger for that flag. And so, I was thinking, what are some of the things I can do? So let me see what the founding fathers did, because they lived in a time of similar, sentiment where they weren't being represented. They didn't have self work with. Yeah. So they're a people, but they're not a people, on the government level. So I went about reading Common Sense by Thomas Paine. And I don't know if you guys have read that or not, but awesome. It's a call to service. It was written right at the beginning of the Revolutionary War, and it takes all of the Enlightenment principles, which is liberal democracy, freedom, personal freedom, involvement of all people in the government, self-determination, justice, like things that were not common to people living under a monarchy, but should be common sense. So, and it's a call to action. It really gets you motivated to, make a change for the right reasons.
What was it called again?
It's Common Sense by Thomas Paine. And it's one of the main reasons that the colonists really were spurred to action at the into the Revolutionary War.
We were having a conversation before we started where I asked you a question about your political affiliation. A lot of veterans we talked about, especially our age, have gone through the 9/11 U.S. military, have gone through the indoctrination of Fox News on all of the bases. What made you decide when you left the military to join the Democrat Party as opposed to the Republican Party? And do you see a trend with your brothers coming out of military service leaning in that direction as opposed to what is traditional?
Yeah, so I think, first and foremost, I think the Democratic Party is a big tent party. I think it encompasses a lot of ideals from, progressivism to more of a center left type of feel. For me, I grew up in the South. I grew up in a Southern Baptist church. I was in the military. I would have to say that, I was pretty conservative in my youth, and a lot of through my military service. But, as I got more experience in life, to include marrying my wife, who is an immigrant from Honduras, and just seeing that, and traveling the world, and seeing how everybody lives and everybody's faiths and everybody's stories. And you kind of put that into context of, the very rigid, like, this is what it means to be a Christian, right? Or this is what it means to be an American, or this is what it means to, be even worse, what I've heard lately, a true American.
Yeah.
You start to kind of reconcile that to like, well, wait a second, my experiences weren't in line with this, or, people I know don't live or believe exactly like this. So let's start to explore, what other thoughts are, what other, people believe. So that's kind of what led me away from that really conservative upbringing, was exposure to the world and different viewpoints, different thoughts.
Do you think that ties into the Enlightenment philosophy that you've kind of geared your campaign towards?
Yeah, it certainly does. Thomas Paine, even said that, here in the Americas, here in the colonies, that we are not children of England, but we're children of Europe, which means French, Polish, German, English. Everybody was already coming uh, to the United States, well, to the colonies, and so at that point, it's like, no, you're not a thing. This is us. Like, this is a people. This is the world. This is an experiment in democracy because it really hadn't been done in the past. And so, yeah, absolutely, it jives well with what the founding fathers wrote, with what Thomas Paine wrote, and with the struggles that we're seeing in our lives today. And you know what? When you start to link things back to the founding fathers, you start to talk patriotism. And who's a big group of patriots? Well, military folks are, right? So, it all kind of comes into line.
You brought up right now your wife and how she's from Honduras. Besides the obvious things that are wrong with our immigration system, what would you kind of target as far as policy goes?
Yeah, we need to change a lot. First and foremost, the heavy-handed ICE raids across our cities are detrimental not just to the immigrant community, but to American citizens, to the economy. It's just it's heartbreaking seeing people in masks and with guns in your neighborhood, at Home Depot, at schools. It's absolutely heartbreaking. So first and foremost, we need to stop this heavy-handed nature of that. We also need to start making better. We need to get more money for judges, immigration judges in particular. There's a huge backlog of immigrants just waiting to be seen. A lot of times, and it is legal, people will come into the United States. They'll ask for
Amnesty?
amnesty, and they're given a form that says come back in 12 months or so. That's on a good day, though, if there's enough judges, if there's enough time. And so a lot of times these court cases may get pushed out longer, which leaves people vulnerable, leaves people without jobs, leaves people without support systems. And sometimes it's dissuading enough to where people just will not go back. And that exasperates the problem of our immigration system. So that's definitely something we need to do as well. And we also need to stop making immigration an executive order type of thing. We need to bring it back to Congress, and we need to make actual laws that address the full system. I mean, border security is good because there is transnational criminal aspects to immigration. Let's address it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's stop. Hey, this president's going to take money for a fence, and then this president is just going to try to add more border patrol. No.
Let's just feels like all of that is so short-sighted. Like it's not changing how we live. You're just punishing people, but how are you changing the laws in order to make this entire system more friendly to success? Mm-hmm. Either that or just come out and say that you don't want immigration, because this tiptoeing around crap is absurd when every action that you take clearly states that you just don't want anybody who does not look like this in your country voting. And if you just come out and say that, then we can move past that and we can work with that. This BS it's just wasting time. Sorry.
It feels like what's been lost kind of throughout the years is that there's not a whole lot of talk about reform. It's all just about cutting it off. And I think that's what's gotten lost on at least the public. Everyone just wants to get rid of immigration.
Just close the borders and kick everybody out.
There's no talk about fixing the actual system.
Yeah. And it's exasperated by our elected officials. I mean, I'm running against Beth Van Dyne. Every problem that there is in the whole United States is linked back to immigrants somehow. I mean, literally. So she has 2 Facebook pages. One is her congressperson page, and there she's like, "Oh, I'm doing a job fair," and she'll smile real nice. Second one is her campaign page where she's talking to her base. And go check out that page because every single post is about immigration. Every post.
You're in Texas. You're in Texas. What are you? This is Mexico, dude. Like, you're. Oh.
But you have to also understand that these people are afraid to vote. They are afraid that their voices are not going to be heard. Look at what's happening currently with the redistricting in the state of Texas.
Mm-hmm.
You're taking away their rights for representation. There are people that have lost their seats because they passed away in Texas in the Senate and the House, and they have not. Abbott has not came and said, "Hey, we need to get representatives in here." These people are getting taxation without representation in the state of Texas, which is illegal, by the way. And nobody's doing anything about it. Who's on their side? Who's fighting for that?
In fact, Abbott told them specifically that they did not deserve representation.
Yep.
I think it's, what is it, District 18? Is it Houston?
I don't remember.
Whichever one Isaiah Martin run for.
That have had their reps pass away.
Yep, that was a Houston area.
The thing is like when you listen to that side that's pushing all of these bans and all of this just shock and awe policy by edict, they don't care about the big picture. Mm-hmm. And if you just barely scratch at the surface of their arguments, they fall apart. Guys, don't be scared of these people. Number one, they're dumb. Number two, they're uncurious. And number three, they're not empathetic. So you're not losing anything by confronting the BS that is falling out of their mouths without any real thought behind it. And it can only serve you to possibly get your message across to somebody who may be just not curious enough to go research things themselves.
I think that we need more people that are kind of like us, these groups that are willing to stand up in these districts that will stand up against the representatives.
Yes.
There were quite a few people that testified in the redistricting committee hearings that I was like, why are you not running? Why are you not?
Texas, run for office.
Yeah. Or at the very least, be an influencer. It costs zero amounts of money. You can get online and you can tell everybody what's happening in your district, gain a following of people that trust you and trust your opinion, and make sure that they're voting. Make sure that they're registered to vote. Make sure that you tell them when to go vote. Make sure that you're, pushing for local businesses to allow people to leave work at lunch to go vote. Mm-hmm. Right? We have to get people to vote. We don't have enough people that are registered, and the people that are registered don't show up.
And that's not just, understand that we're not just telling that to people who agree with us. I personally want everybody to vote, because the minute I say that somebody else's vote isn't important because it disagrees with mine, then I just delegitimize any argument that I have. So I don't want to hear anybody saying that your vote doesn't count, because that means your vote doesn't count either. Everybody needs to show up and freaking vote. And right now, when all of this special session BS is happening, get on your phones and get on your laptops, email and call these people. They have people in their offices that are picking up the phone, answering those emails, and delivering them to the senators and reps while they're in those committee hearings. It is not a fruitless effort.
But
I'll take it a little bit further too. It's actually quite easy to become a voter registrar. Get deputized. So
Hobart did.
Okay. Yeah, I'm also one. And so, you get your deputization, and grab some forms, and everybody you talk to, you register to vote. You're not? Great. Let me whip out this form and we're going to do it right now.
Yeah, I don't know how it is everywhere else, but I know here in Bexar County, it's free, and it's just like a 30-minute class, and you just go pick up your stuff, and that's it.
Dallas County's the same way. I've been meaning to do it, Tovar. I'm sorry, I'm slacking.
I should probably do it too.
Right? Speaking of special session, SB 5. I know that working in US Congress is going to be very different and impact different areas than working in Texas. But when it comes to cannabis legalization, consumable hemp products, where exactly do you stand on that? And how do you feel about prohibition versus regulation?
So I'm pro regulation. Recreational use, I believe, should be legal, and it's shown to work. Well, I guess not work is the answer, but it's working in several states. New Mexico, Colorado come to mind, and I know many others. And so I think it's time to take it to the federal level. And we definitely need to get it legalized across the board. Regulation, though, is very important. Similar to alcohol, we don't want people impaired and driving around on the streets. So
Yes.
I have something to say about this because I didn't properly introduce myself. I have a master's degree in pharmaceutical science with multiple specialties in cannabis and CBD as medicine. And I
tingles every time he says it.
I own a hemp dispensary here in Amarillo, and I own a school called Bud and Bloom's Cannabis Academy. And since you are moving on your way up to the federal place, I do want to put this bug in your ear.
All right.
So I disagree on legalization, and let me explain this why.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear.
So currently, marijuana is a Schedule I narcotic with no medicinal value. But the word marijuana was used back in the 1920s to associate cannabis use with Mexicans. It's a derogatory racial slur. It has never actually been defined anywhere in any state government other than the DEA's website. But the DEA says that it's cannabis, but doesn't actually define it by a scientific nomenclature. So the Agricultural Improvement Act of 2018, which was an addendum to the 2014 Farm Bill, does define hemp as the cannabis sativa L plant, which is the actual species of all cannabis plants. So my argument is that cannabis is legal in all 50 states, but marijuana is a Schedule I narcotic with no medicinal value, nor a definition. I disagree that because we do have some things out there that are like, we're going to deschedule it, right? But descheduling marijuana means zip. It means absolutely nothing. If we deschedule it overnight, every physician in the entire United States can now write prescriptions for marijuana, which they don't know how to do, for one. For two, where are you going to get your cannabis from? They're going to shut down these dispensaries because the only place that you can get an FDA approved drug is from a pharmacy. So now every dispo has to have a pharmacist on staff. Every bud tender now has to be a pharmacy tech. So it shuts down everything for everybody in these legal states, which people don't realize is what's going to happen. And are you going to go buy your weed at Walgreens? Right? I actually would push for decriminalization, decriminalization with regulation, because the only reason that marijuana is a Schedule I narcotic is because of the racial profiling. It was intended to make Mexicans, Black people, anybody of color is a bad person that uses drugs and sells it to white kids. And it was never defined as the cannabis sativa L plant. So in my mind, it's not even illegal because cannabis sativa L is legal federally.
Yeah.
So I just want to put that little bit of old knowledge in your head so that when you go up there to vote on something, you can be like, nah, this is bullshit.
I'm going to get your phone number and hold on to it so that we can talk when that topic comes up.
Maybe you want to, I don't know, introduce a bill that Chastity's already written.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, I do have a bill that I'm pushing, trying to get through to the House. If there's any reps that are watching right now, I probably already sent you an email. Just send me an email.
And I'm sure you're keeping a close eye on the special session as well.
I am.
Oh my gosh.
Always. Yeah. So tomorrow, SB5, if anybody's watching this right now, SB5 is supposed to be heard tomorrow. The last reading in the Senate, they will push this through into the House. But they also snuck in an HB5, which is the exact same bill as SB5, but it's the House version. I don't know exactly what the dynamic is with this, but my thought process is that if we kill SB5 in the House because it's already went through the Senate, then HB5 will get through the House and then come back to the Senate and we'll forcefully push it through. Or we can use it to hold other bills hostage in the Senate if we have a House bill. So that's just my thought process on this. But, just so everybody knows, call your reps because they're trying to do something fishy.
Also, there is a press conference tomorrow morning in Austin at 10 a.m. Chas, do you know where it's going to be playing live? It's not redistricting. It's SB5. It's cannabis.
It's going to be on the TRO or Texas TRO dot whatever.
Okay.
It's
capital.texas.gov.
I have the that invitation. Hold on. Get it real quick. Sorry about that.
Meetings for the Senate.
It's going to be at Senate Press Room 2E.9. 2E.9.
10 a.m. Austin.
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
You there.
So we were talking about cannabis reform also, right? One thing a lot of people like to bring up is the veterans and treatment as far as PTSD, but we kind of already know that already helps. That's already well established. I think we don't need to like keep beating up that dead horse. But as far as like treatment, not only within cannabis, but as far as transitioning out of the military, I know with my experience, I was actually fortunate myself to be able to transition, fairly easily out. It was still really hard, but I had to choose a different career path because a lot of qualifications they don't really line up in the civilian world. But what is? Do you have any ideas on how you would, I guess, tackle that issue as far as transitioning out for veterans?
Yeah, we definitely need to continue to maintain the benefits that are afforded to veterans. That helps ease that process, the transition. Notably, educational benefits, super important. That I was able to take advantage of the GI Bill as well. I got my master's with that, and that's set me up for success in the professional world in ways that I couldn't imagine. And quite honestly, having to pay for a master's degree would have been pretty much unattainable, especially when I got out. I was still, how old was I got my master's? Like 20, 27, 28, something like that. And I was still, I want to start a family. Yeah, I do. Do I want to, buy a house? Sure do. Do I need to get more education for better opportunities? Yes, I do. And, trying to reckon all of that into a budget is very hard, very, very hard. So, yeah, that's huge in transitioning. I've also taken advantage of and think we need to continue to maintain the VA home loans, which really help veterans, especially enlisted veterans who didn't make much money while they were in the military, get out and get them into a house. Very, very important, especially with veteran homelessness. Anything you can do to help people get homed and veterans qualify for homes as well is super important. So those are the two biggest ones. But also, and maybe I don't know if you were able to take advantage of it, but they did start to do some transitioning programs in the military, like separation programs. I got out before it was really a big thing, but they've started that. I don't know if you got.
Yeah, I got out in 2013, and it was just like a death by PowerPoint. What I remember, it wasn't very helpful. I would say that education for sure, and trying to promote that for people for veterans that are getting out, I think is probably the most important thing that we would need to focus on, because a lot of people just get out and just completely lost, and then you know they let whatever they saw come back and affect everything for the rest of their lives. But I think education for sure is something that needs to be encouraged, especially since it's already there for us. A lot of
Yeah,
veterans, it's already
yeah,
there. Like you said, you could get a master's pretty much. I mean, already paid for.
yeah, and you had a good point there. Like you don't know what you don't know. And I experienced that when I graduated high school too. I didn't know how to apply for college. I didn't know, you know, what it took. I didn't know there's $50 fees to even apply for college in most cases. Like nothing. I didn't know a single thing. And so yeah, like programs like that for our veterans, for students coming out of high school to to get them some knowledge and set them up for success down the road. I mean, super important. And even like I also think that we need to start to fund and better fund like apprenticeships as well,
Yes.
because not everyone just wants to go to college and get a college
Yes.
degree. It's not right for everyone. So if somebody wants to do an apprenticeship and go into a trade, like let's fund it. Let's make that part of an educational package. Or if somebody wants to do a trade school or a 2-year university and get an associate's degree or specialty in something like that, like let's fund these and let's make sure that people not only have the opportunity, but they're not going to go into debt by going to school and trying to become a better person, a better citizen, a better member of the community. It's I think that's morally wrong to sit there and try to, start young people off with debt that they cannot pay
Yeah.
and will not fall off. It's horrible.
Ever.
Horrible.
You cannot pay it, guys. Trust me, I have been there. I'm older than I
still
look.
there.
I've had a lot of student loans, and they are the last thing that I paid for a long time. They never go away. Do not think they will go away. They don't.
I was talking to my friend the other day. I was like, if they shut down hemp in Texas, I guess I can go back to school and get a doctorate and then continue, maybe get another master's and I'll just be a career student.
Student?
Because I mean, I'll never be able to repay. I'll
Mm-mm.
never be able to repay my student loans. I'll never be able to.
And
Like-
please understand, guys, when we're talking about student loan forgiveness, the loans have been paid back. What we are paying at this point are interest rates that have accrued forever. So these financial institutions are profiting off of these loans exponentially in perpetuity. Like they are making money hand over fist. And if you look at their profit margins, that becomes very evident. Student loan forgiveness was never about handouts to people who want to sit on their couches and play video games. It was about letting people start their lives without mountains of debt that they really shouldn't be continuing to pay back, because it ends up just being interest.
I think that would be a really good, because I'm all for, when people talk about student loan forgiveness and how it really wouldn't cost the country that much, to forgive student loans and allow like a free people to go to secondary school for free. I agree with that. But then there's, the people that are like, I had to pay my student loans and I didn't get a choice and I didn't, I had to pay them. And I get that. But maybe what we could shoot for is student loans without interest.
Yeah. My grandparents raised me. My grandfather went to OU in the 60s, early 60s. He had a baby with major health complications that him and my grandmother each worked 3 jobs to pay for the medical care that my dad needed. Through that process, he's also going through school, a double major, going to OU. Do we know how much it costs to go to OU now?
Probably a lot.
$250,000 to get a 4-year degree at OU. My grandfather told me stories about how he would cry because he could not afford the $12 to pay for his classes while my father was sick. And then they look at us and go, well, I pay back my student loans. Why can't you? Because they're $12, Joe. That's why. What are you doing? I graduated in 2006. Full disclosure, guys. I still owe $8,000 on my student loans, and I graduated 20 years ago next year. Something's got to give with this.
Yeah, in addition, because I was starting my family when I was getting my master's. So thankfully, I had the school paid for from the GI Bill. I had $1,000 a month stipend from the GI Bill, but it still wasn't paying bills. So, I would go frame houses. I would do a little bit of work from the school. And then my wife was also working. She would do either a construction job, or she worked with a farmer who had a horse carriage business. So they like go do weddings and funerals and like with the horse carriage. But
all right, the Burge family are hustlers, huh?
well, we had to. We had bills to pay. So
Do what you got to do.
yeah, I do. But at the same time, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. Like, yeah, I did it, but I don't want my son to go through that.
Right.
Like,
Why is that the mindset of that generation? Like, I suffered, so should you. No, the whole point is to progress beyond the suffering. Otherwise, what the hell is all this for?
yep.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
sucks when your kids have to carry your trauma.
Yeah.
Right. That's
So,
true.
Kevin, I wanted to ask you, you are a veteran. And speaking of our kids, we have a huge problem in this country. The biggest cause of deaths among children 18 and younger are gun violence. Being a veteran, I know that you appreciate access to guns. We have the right to carry. We observe the Second Amendment in this country. What reforms would you encourage in order to protect our children?
Oh, absolutely. And first off, that's really good because we need to protect our kids. I don't want to call, during the school day.
Yeah.
That's pretty scary. So we need to protect our kids. We need to protect our police officers who go out and do dangerous jobs as well.
Yeah.
And we also need to protect men, veterans, and LGBTQ plus community who suffer from suicide at higher rates than the rest of the population. So obviously there's a lot of work to do in this space. Same time, we have this mythos of guns ingrained into our societies, like literally into the mythos of America. And add on to that the Second Amendment, which is in the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very, very tough subject. So what I think would make the most impact right off the bat would be sensible gun laws that will ensure that people are storing their weapons correctly in the house, because we do not want children to get a hold of weapons. We don't want people who are in a dark moment in their life to get a hold of weapons. So we need to make sure that people are locking up their weapons properly. We need to do background checks. It's super important. Vetting of people and their mental capacities to own weapons is good. And it's not even just a long-term, like if somebody comes in distraught or, the owner, the seller, the owner of the store thinks this is not a good thing, just because it's their right now to buy a gun, I don't think that they should be selling a gun to that person in that moment,
Yeah.
So some cool down periods as well. And I also think training is a big, big part of this as well. You see, I'm a gun owner. I belong to the range down the street. I go shoot from time to time. I've had a concealed carry permit, but at the same time, I have 15 years of weapons experience and training behind it. So I know what the weapon is. I know that the tool that it is. I know what it's used for. I know how to use it safely. They don't just hand you a gun and say, good luck. There's a lot of safety.
I don't know when Texas is starting to get that way.
Well, I mean, I remember as a kid going into Walmart and, there'd be just,
Yes.
I'll take that one up there. And they're like, all right, there you go. And I'd walk out with
The
it.
first shotgun I ever was aware of being purchased in my family. I think my uncle went and bought it from Walmart. Like,
Exactly. So
Right next to the eggs?
yeah,
What?
definitely need regulation around it as well. Certainly.
I would also add on to there, like, acknowledging and having more mental health
Mm-hmm.
help, making it not a stigma.
Yep.
I, you know, let me just take this for example. I don't want to bring it back to the hemp situation, but just as an example, a lot of the legislatures in or representatives in Texas say we don't need the hemp industry because we have the teacup program. Well, the teacup program you have to register for. And if you are registered as on a medical marijuana program in the entire United States, you therefore are forfeiting your Second Amendment rights.
Mm-hmm.
And
For life.
For life, forever. Yes, if you're on the teacup program, which is one of the reasons that people want the hemp program, because they still do use cannabis, but they don't want to be on anybody's government watch list because they still want to have that Second Amendment right, which they should if they want to, you know. But you're also at that same point, you're limiting the medicine that people are using for the mental health stuff. People don't want to be afraid of asking for help for something. Is my point. We shouldn't be stigmatizing you know, something so large. Mental health is a huge thing, and especially for men. Men don't want to go to a therapist. They don't want to go to a counselor. They don't want to, because it makes them seem as if they're weak, because that's what this whole nation has taught us, that you're lesser of a man if you have feelings or emotions, which is stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And so putting more into the mental health awareness aspect is, I think, huge, especially when it comes to that Second Amendment right, because we can't just disregard one and try to work on the other without working on them both.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a whole nother discussion. There's a whole lot of things that should be considered legitimate healthcare that is not. Mental health is a really great example of that. It's a health issue. It's not a sign of weakness, and it should be treated and covered as a healthcare procedure, but also dental. I mean,
Yeah,
your teeth
part
are
of your body, your eyes.
your eyes.
Yeah.
These are health issues that really need to be addressed, as would a broken arm or an illness.
Or you wait until you're 41 to get braces, because that's when you can afford them.
My wife just got hers off, so yeah, we know that one.
Kevin, I wanted to ask you earlier. I was going through your bio that you sent us, the questions that you answered, and you stated definitively that you have not taken any donations, campaign donations from any corporate interest or PACs. So my questions to you: one, would you ever take a penny from a PAC? And two, how do you feel about Citizens United?
From APAC or APAC?
AIPAC.
No, I would not take any.
Thank you.
And yeah, Citizens
Get that
United.
out of the way right now, guys. This has been answered. Asked and answered.
Citizens United, yeah, we need to get rid of Citizens United. Absolutely. Our democracy is not for sale. It should not be for sale to the highest bidder. I told you I believe in liberal democracy as it was in the Enlightenment, and that's kind of a no. There's no barrier set to participation in the government. And when you start to inject big dollars like that, it lowers the amount of people who can participate in government, right? And so if we're a government of the people and by the people, we need to make sure that the barrier to entry is not one where only the billionaires can get in there. You know, only the self-funded millionaires are able to
Yes.
run.
Oh, yes.
So,
Grassroots, you guys. We are supposed to be electing our neighbors to go and speak for us. I was telling them this earlier. All this is somehow we managed to convince other people that our crazy neighbor was not as crazy as we think they are, and then we shoved them in the door of the Capitol, and they're supposed to be there yelling the same things that we are. And if that's not happening, elect somebody else.
mm-hmm.
Yes. I'm gonna drop the bomb. I'm dropping the bomb question. So I want to talk about the Epstein files and currently what's happening. And it's not your personal opinion on whether somebody's in the files. It's explicitly, so I have two things. Ghislaine Maxwell has already been convicted by a jury of her peers beyond a reasonable doubt, sentenced to 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump is talking about, or well, the news is talking about
she has
pardoning her. She has asked for a pardon,
mm-hmm.
and they're talking about him pardoning her.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing. And I just want to know what your thought process is on that specific situation. And then the other thing is how it's being handled by Congress, right? Senate, House, the president, all of those representatives. Since, you know, we've been knowing about this for years and years and years. This is not something new. They were promised to be released. We want to know, as the public, we want to know that our representative was not on that island. We want to know that they are not on that list. Mm-hmm. And as a American, that's why I want the files released. But the whole point of that is what do you think that they should be following? What steps do you think that they should be following currently, because they're not obviously following any steps?
And I just want to piggyback off of that and ask you, if you were, as a congressperson, to have eyeballs on these documents and were to discover that someone that you thought was you held in high esteem were in those documents, would you push to release them? Go ahead.
Yeah, so yes, I think that the American public has made it quite clear that we want this released. I would like it to be released as well, for the reasons that you had previously mentioned, that, you know, we are a nation of laws. We are a nation of justice. You know, that's another part of the Enlightenment and liberal democracy, is that we believe that, you know, justice is equal across the board for all people, whether you're elected, whether you're a millionaire or billionaire, or, you know, just a random person. So it's equal, right? We're all citizens here in the United States, and equal under the Constitution. So yes, absolutely think it should be released. As far as how they're handling it, well, I think it's pretty shameful. I will say that I have in the past, you know, worked with classified documents and material, and there are certain release criteria for classified documents. And some of that comes with, you know, redactions or a time limit, or, you know, some other criteria. Probably very similar on the legal side of the house, where, you know, certain sensitive information can be released but redacted. But I think that the redactions should be to the victims.
Yes.
And not to the perpetrators. And the perpetrators should be held responsible and accountable. So, and also that's what makes government work, right? Accountability, transparency, you know, answering, accountability. Did I say accountability? Accountability, transparency, like that.
Very passionate about accountability, guys.
Did I say accountability? No. So yeah, absolutely. You know, yes.
So the pardoning of Ghislaine.
No, she's been convicted. And, you know, I think that kind of goes to presidential pardoning in general. You know, it seems to be, all right, So I worked in the White House. All right. I was there for about 2.5 years. I got to give tours to people. So I'd get passes and I'd give them to my family and be like, come on, let's go do a tour of the White House. So I'm sorry for this story. It's going to be a little bit long.
Okay.
As you walk out the White House from the tour, you start in the East Wing, you go in the mansion, and you leave at the front of the White House. As you leave, on the left-hand side is typically a portrait of the 2 past presidents. So, and then on the right side, there's portraits of the last president, the preceding president. However, President Biden was in charge. Portrait on the left was George Bush. Portrait on the right was President Obama. If you notice, there's a gap there in a president because the preceding president for Biden was Trump. Well, Trump's portrait was not there, just like when Trump was president, Obama's portrait was not on the right side, who was the previous president, right?
So petty.
And so it's super petty. It's a painting. It's stupid. I know. But if you look at how government works at that level, at the executive level, at the legislative level, president and congressmen, a lot of it is what the Constitution says you can do, rules that they make up for themselves, traditions, and precedents. And so if they're starting to break the traditions that run the government, like putting a picture up, today it's a portrait of the president that's not up. What is it tomorrow?
Yeah.
What is it tomorrow? What are you going to break tomorrow? And it's those kind of things that just snowball and snowball and snowball, and they just get worse and worse and worse until now we have basically Nazis.
Grab him by the P word is now our president. If we had asked these questions when Newt Gingrich was running his mouth on the House floor during pre 9/11 years, we would not be here. Like you're absolutely right. When you let somebody take an inch, they're going to take a mile. And now we're to a point where we're, like apologizing for Nazi salutes in front of the American flag, like,
or not.
Or not apologizing, just it's fine. We're just doing it. We're all doing that now. Apparently, it's bonkers. Did you guys see the Jubilee debate with Mehdi Hassan?
Yes, I did.
I'm sorry, Mehdi. Sorry, Mehdi. If you can hear me, I love you so much. Mehdi Hassan. Okay, that was the scariest thing I've seen in a long time. And the reason that it was so scary is because those people live amongst us. And if you can sit in a room full of people and knowing that this is going to be on the internet for the entire world to see and say, yes, I'm a fascist. I don't care if you call me a Nazi. We're done with the debate at that point. And that has to be true universally in this country. I watched an Austrian civil rights attorney react to that video, and he was mortified. In Austria, which is the birthplace of Schmadolf Schmertler, they have laws. Thank you. They have laws against that type of speech, and it's imprisonment. They agree with free speech, but with limits, because when you encourage and platform that type of speech, you're normalizing fascism, you're normalizing authoritarianism, you're normalizing hate speech, and that should not be free. So I'm curious, with everything that's happening right now, with the levers that are being pulled behind the scenes with our media, the students that are being arrested, all of these things that are happening, when they're having votes regularly in the House on what's anti-Semitic, but they won't discuss what is bigoted or what we shouldn't say that's anti-Muslim, whatever the case may be. It's always about protecting a certain class that happens to be funding the people that are in those seats. So what can be done to remedy this?
So I think you touched on free speech. And I think that might be maybe there's two ways to go about it. I think elected officials should never be allowed to. They should be reprimanded to that nth degree if they are promoting any type of uh, tamping down of free speech. And so if they're like they've done it a few times in the in Congress as well, but they've been putting bills forward that basically say, oh, we're going to tamp down on paid protesters, or on a college campus, you can't do any type of protesting, or else we're going to pull your federal funding. And those types of things should not be allowed. And additionally, if a congressperson, an elected person, gets onto social media and they sit here and say, this guy's bad because he said this, like, I'm sorry, but that's his right. He has free speech, and he has the right to say what he's saying. He has the right to protest. Even if you don't agree with it, it's your job to uphold his right to free speech. Do not do it. So, same time, we get people like the Republican chair in Tarrant County, who is more than comfortable enough to get onto Twitter and say racist things. And I think that's another thing, is that some people are just getting way too comfortable to say stuff behind a screen.
Yeah.
And as an elected official, also, it's absolutely just wrong. Just wrong.
Yeah.
Plain wrong.
Yeah, I think you kind of hit it on the head, because I feel like the generation before us was really passive and not really engaged how I see our generation. And then the generation after us, it's like there's this whole culture of just, fucking around and trolling, and making fun of everybody and making sure that you get one over on the liberals or the right or whatever. So I think that like create, and then you had COVID where everyone was just forced to fight behind a screen. So it gave everybody a voice, and not only a voice, it like amplified them and gave them this confidence to be able to go on a show like that and just spout off the most hateful, dumbest shit that you could probably say on freaking on TV, especially a platform like that. That's insane. But I would say let them talk. Let them dig their own
identify
grave.
Show their
Yeah.
asses.
Yeah, you know who they are. You know who they are
Yeah.
now.
That's guys, if anybody has not watched that, 10 out of 10 recommend. If anybody wants to know why progressives and liberals and the left are genuinely concerned about the state of our democracy, watch that debate. Watch that debate.
I wouldn't even think that that's like a right left issue. That's just straight up fascism, and you can't like. I don't care if you think Antifa is like a bunch of purple haired, crazy leftist weirdos. Fascism isn't fucking cool. It never will be.
No.
Yeah.
No, but that's what's so scary right now is the culture that we live in. There is a party in America who is totally fine with co-signing fascism. So what do we do?
Well, you also mentioned, a lot of veterans are running in ways that you didn't think.
Democrats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I would say every district surrounding me has a veteran running in it right now at the congressional level. And a few of them I've talked to as well. And it's, different things brought them to run. Some of it is, people saying that the right owns the flag, when a veteran is like, well, what the heck, man? Like, I don't believe what you believe, and I fought for the flag. Or
the non-veterans who say that are my favorite. The ones that will look you guys in the face and go, "You're not patriots. The flag is MAGA." Like, what?
Yeah.
What? Let me show you my discharge papers, you asshat.
So yeah, I mean, like all this stuff, these people saying fascist things, acting in ways that are completely un-American, and in ways that, like, my grandpa fought in World War II. It's like, wait a second, didn't we defeat these guys like 80 years ago or so?
Right? Well, I think that's unfortunately what happens when you work so hard to dismantle our Department of Education and defund public schooling is we don't know our history. So we are doomed to repeat it. Guys, pick up a book.
Yeah.
Pick up a book. This all
Or
happened.
parents, ensure that your children know something. My kids didn't learn history in school, but my kids know history because my husband and I made them know history.
Yes.
That's right.
Okay, guys.
Puerto Rican. They don't teach you about Puerto Rico in school in Texas. I didn't find out that Puerto Rico was a place until I was in high school. I married this human. He's from this place.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead.
It's time for rapid fire questions.
Ooh, love rapid fire.
All right.
Okay, so you have 20 seconds to answer each of these questions.
Okay.
Okay, ready? What is your favorite local business or restaurant in your district?
Tacos El Rinconcito.
Yum.
All
What's
right.
your favorite food from there?
Great tacos. Awesome tacos.
Taco?
Yeah, love it. I mean, authentic Mexican food. Amazing.
Man after my own heart right there.
Does anybody else have these or no? Okay, what is one thing that Congress should stop doing immediately?
Capitulating to Trump.
Nice. Like it. Picasso.
Yeah, checks and balances. That used to be a thing.
Right?
What is a hill that you will die on, even if it's unpopular?
Ooh, I'm gonna make some people mad, I think, but bachata is the best Latin dance.
Oh.
I did not expect that.
That was coming out of your mouth.
Who is a political leader that you admire, either past or present?
Teddy Roosevelt, the Rough Rider, founder of our national parks, explorer of the Amazon. I mean, awesome dude. And probably Madison also.
Cool.
Okay.
What is the first bill that you will introduce if you are elected?
So direct payments for child tax credit, and just immediate help to working families right off the bat.
Like it.
So simple.
Expensive.
It is very simple.
I have 5 children and that has never crossed my mind.
Yep.
It won't help me now that my kids are all grown, but it might help my
When
kids.
I
and their
bring
kids.
10 years ago.
And then you can make fun of them and say, "Well, when I was your age, I had to do it all by myself."
Oh my god.
Yeah, no government helped me when I was your age. We
I had
are.
to follow my
I am
taxes
a-
uphill both ways in the snow.
We were talking about that today because Tovar realized that he was old.
Oh,
Yeah,
You
I
hate
was
it when
talking to a young Marine. He was like 20, young 20s, and I didn't realize how old that I sounded talking to this guy. I was like, "Hey, come down there, sport!" Like,
cut out this riffraff.
yeah.
Oh no, you guys.
All right, Kevin. Chastity and Jen, do y'all have anything left for Kevin?
I just want to thank you for your service and
Yes.
thank you so much for putting yourself out there to run no matter what happens. We're so glad we got to talk to you and we would love for you to come back so we can get updates on the campaign and see how things are going.
Yeah, I'd love to. Thank you for having me, first of all.
Where can
And
everybody find you at?
Yeah, good. So Kevin Burge, Burge for Congress on Facebook. Most of my socials are linked. Actually, I think all my socials are linked to my website. So it'd be www.kevin, Kevin, for Texas, FORTEXAS.com. KevinForTexas.com. Socials are on there. Links to donate are on there. This is Grassroots. So we do need your donations to keep the train rolling here and ultimately beat just one of the worst Congress people in Congress at the moment, which is Beth.
Truly. Nightmare of a human.
Yeah.
And you can find all of that in the caption, guys.
Yeah, I think that's all. I think that's in our description. If not, we'll post it later whenever
Make
we
sure
upload
people
this
can
video.
find you.
Awesome.
But,
And you can go to our website too, and you can find his bio.
yes.
Oh yeah, that part too. Remember, guys, we're gonna hold Kevin accountable here when he gets to DC. So
I'm here. I've same with the IAM folks, the union. I told them my phone is on at all times, so give me a call, hold me accountable. Accountability, right? We talked about accountability is part of good governance. So, I'm here for it, and appreciate this. This is my first podcast. I've never done this before.
You did great.
You did great.
All right, well, that's Kevin Burge again, Marine Corps veteran running for the 24th Congressional District here in Texas. All right, everybody, thanks again, and we'll see you next week.